You and I are no more than biological machines, built by DNA for the purpose of passing it on. Just as the universe is comprised only of matter, we too are purely physical objects. Naturalism tells us that nothing exists beyond the physical world. If we cannot measure it, see it, or touch it, it does not exist. By following the scientific method, we have discovered the laws of physics, the descriptions of how our physical universe normally and consistently behaves. But according to naturalism, mankind is no different than its habitat. Since the universe obeys the laws of physics, we too are wholly subject to them. You may have thought that a series of free choices has brought you to where you are today. But according to naturalism, free will does not exist. Since human beings are merely physical entities, we are bound by the laws of cause and effect. Our actions today can be traced back to prior physical causes. The result, all of your actions have been predetermined since the universe began. Naturalists do not shy away from this consequence of their worldview. The evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins and the neuroscientist Sam Harris affirm that all of our actions are causally determined. Stephen Hawking agreed. Scientific determinism must hold for people as well. Free will is an illusion. Once one comes to terms with naturalism, the world is seen through a different lens. The individual is reduced to a puppet, moving about at the mercy of the laws of nature. Although we think that our minds are responsible for bringing about our actions, we are mistaken. For if there is no immaterial part of a person, then even your thoughts are predetermined. These naturalistic ideas have consequences. Society is built upon the assumption that human beings are responsible for their own actions. How can someone be punished for wrongdoing if he could not choose to do otherwise? Without free will, we cannot be either blamed or praised for our decisions and actions. Richard Dawkins just shrugs these implications off, commenting, "This is just an inconsistency we have to live with." Fortunately, determinism itself is not an inevitable conclusion, for there is no evidence that determinism is true. On the contrary, the very concept of rationally affirming determinism is self-defeating. For to rationally accept something as true, you must have the freedom to weigh the evidence. But if determinism is true, then there is no true deliberation. Everything is the result of prior causes, including the acceptance of determinism. Naturalism also fails to give a tenable account of our mental lives. It tells us that human consciousness and the physical brain are identical. Mental experiences can be wholly described in terms of specific brain states and the firing of neurons. But that doesn't make sense, for the brain, as a physical substance, has only physical properties. But the brain doesn't have mental properties. The brain is not happy. The brain itself isn't afraid. You can't reduce fear to a physical brain state. If there is just one difference between a mental state and a brain state, then they are not identical, and naturalism is false. How then do we give an adequate account of our mental lives? How do we harmonize our deep intuitions of human freedom with what physics tells us about the world? The answer may be found in a familiar concept, the soul. For thousands of years, the soul was believed to give man the ability to think and decide freely. If we have immaterial souls which can affect our bodies, then we are not enslaved by physical determinism. The inadequacy of a naturalistic worldview should cause us to reflect on the true nature of reality. Is there an immaterial realm that underpins it all? Should we just throw up our hands and say, this is an inconsistency we have to live with? The choice is yours.